Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Aluga. Thanks so much for being here Wednesday, November 5th. And this is not a drill. CJ Stroud is out against your Jacksonville Jaguars. D'Amico Ryans shared the news earlier today, and Murray, the dog Murray, is very excited to hear this news. Now, when it comes to talking about injuries, these are humans. These are people. I wish CJ Stroud nothing but the best from a health standpoint. I want him to get healthy, be able to play football, all that stuff. But when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Houston Texans on the field, this is massive, massive news. The Jaguars will be facing their division rival. You might say they've been their nemesis as of late, certainly much more than the Titans have. Murray's still fired up about it. They will be facing the Houston Texans without CJ Stroud. Davis Mills will be their starting quarterback. And this is, it's just massive news. There's no doubt about it. So really appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to talk about it here. Appreciate you being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out GenJag.com, pick up some new Duval gear. And Murray just really cannot contain herself over there. But I think an Amazon driver was driving by, making a little bit too much noise. That's how it goes. CJ Stroud out against the Jaguars. The Texans enter this game 3-5, right? And pretty poor offensive line. Overall, pretty poor offense, but one of the best defenses in football. Now you subtract CJ Stroud and enter Davis Mills. This officially makes this a must-win game for the Jaguars. Not going to mince words on that. It's a must-win game for the Jaguars. You could already have made the argument that it was pretty close to a must-win. You know, you're 5-3. The difference between 6-3 and 5-4 in a division where you have the Colts, who are 7-2. They are facing a much more difficult back half of the schedule, but the Texans, on paper, with a 3-5 record, are one of the teams over the back half of the season here for the Jaguars that actually have a losing record that the Jaguars are playing against. They're playing against the Texans, the Titans twice, the Jets, and the Cardinals. Those are the teams the Jaguars play with a losing record. Those are the teams that on paper the Jaguars should be able to beat. There's some other teams as well that I think are potentially beatable. You look at the Chargers and their issues on their offensive tackle spot. You look at the Jaguars and the Colts and how they match up, all these things, right? But those are the ones on paper that you had to win. And now that CJ Stroud is out, and CJ Stroud is, for all of the criticism he's received and negativity surrounding the Texans in a lot of ways, CJ Stroud is just a much better player and more dangerous player than Davis Mills. And the Texans are a more dangerous team with CJ Stroud on the field than on the sideline. There's no question about that in my mind. Now, could you get a simplified approach from the Texans offense that tries to feature Nico Collins, that tries to take advantage of the Jaguars' weakness against the tight end? Yes. Were you already probably going to see that? I think so. But the Texans are now a team that looks like they're ripe for the taking. They really are. The Jaguars need to win this game. They need to bury the Texans at 3-6. They need to get to 6-3 with a home date against the Chargers looming. That'll be a big game. It'll be a game in which, I think it remains to be seen where I'll stand on that game against the Chargers. Obviously some injuries and different things. Murray's just wreaking havoc. Say hi, everybody. Yep. Crazy little dachshund here. Davis Mills behind the Texans offensive line is not a recipe that I would feel particularly good about if I was the Texans, right? And the Jaguars, sorry, I'm all over the place here. I don't have notes for this. I just got the news, and so we're just talking about it, responding to it as, basically live. The Jaguars general manager has not minced words about wanting to win the division. That is the Jaguars' goal, is to win the division. And the Jaguars are 5-3. The Colts are 7-2. The Jaguars have a chance, adding Jacoby Myers, with the back half of the schedule we just talked about. Again, they're playing the Texans, the Titans twice, the Cardinals, the Jets. They have 5 of their next 9 games against teams with a losing record. If they win 5 of their next 9 games, they will finish the season 10-7. That should get you in the playoffs. Will that win you your division? I don't know. Their goal is to win the division. Will it win you your division? I think you need to do a little bit better than that. And I think it starts again with this game against the Houston Texans. I think the Jaguars will win this game. I'll go ahead and put that on record. I think the Jaguars will win in Houston, beat the Texans, sweep the Texans, which is just, I did not have that on my bingo card going into this year. When is 2017 the last time the Jaguars swept the Texans? Pull that up. Let's see. 2017, yeah. Yep. 2017. Was that Deshaun Watson's rookie year? I think it was. That was the last time the Jaguars swept the Texans. It's been almost a decade. That would be just unbelievably huge. And I think it's going to happen. I think the Jaguars, for all their issues, and they still do have a lot of issues they're working out, including health issues, and you're hoping that the Jaguars are healthy entering this game than they were last week against the Raiders, than they were coming out of last week's game against the Raiders, and we still don't have the injury report for today. But the Jaguars need to win this game, and I think they will. No C.J. Stroud is a big, big problem for them. And you're talking about Davis Mills behind Ariante Ursary, who's allowed 23 pressures so far this year. Just a porous offensive line when it comes to pass protection. They don't have a great running game. I really think that the Jaguars defense can kind of get back to what makes, look, the Raiders, not a good team, but they did have some pieces. They had Geno Smith, they had Brock Bowers, they had Ashton Genty, they had Jacoby Myers. They had some pieces in place that made you really worry about that offense. And for Dalton Schultz is a good player. He is in no way, shape, or form Brock Bowers, right? Geno Smith, for his issues this year, a more dangerous quarterback than Davis Mills. And Ashton Genty, much more dangerous than any running back the Texans have in their backfield. I'll give you the Nico Collins, but I think the Jaguars with Greg Newsome and Buster Brown playing a lot of zone defense have an opportunity to be much better there. You get Jordan Lewis back, hopefully. Hopefully Eric Murray, hopefully Devin Lloyd. Those are big pieces there, and those guys help you defend the tight end as well, by the way. This is just huge news. And the Jags, like I said, I think they're going to win this one. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. It's not going to be easy putting up a lot of points against this Texans defense. And we're going to preview the heck out of this game over the next several days for sure. But C.J. Stroud out against the Jacksonville Jaguars makes this a must-win. And it probably already was. But it means you have to beat the Texans. If you can't beat the Texans without C.J. Stroud, good luck making the playoffs. Good luck winning your division. Because, again, making the playoffs is not the goal for this team. And I'm not talking about my personal goal. I'm talking about the goal within that building is to win this division, get ahead of the Colts, which the Jaguars control their own destiny. Without question. I mean, they have one more loss than the Colts. And they play the Colts twice. They also play the Titans twice. The Colts schedule is a lot more difficult than the Jaguars schedule. We can pull that up and talk about it real quick. For these two teams, and the Colts are, I guess, technically like a game and a half ahead of the Jaguars. They're 7-2. The Jaguars are 5-3. They've played one more game. But the Colts are taking on the Falcons this weekend. They then have Kansas City. Obviously, they play the Jaguars twice. They play Seattle, and they play San Francisco as well. So they've got some of these teams that are really tough coming up on their schedule, in my opinion, including the Jaguars. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Do not forget Club Jaguar tonight, 8:30 p.m. over on UCF Jaguars channel. Y'all have a good one.